It's a really interesting conversation because they're talking about home ownership and the Official Information Act. And basically what I hear Erica Stanford saying is New Zealand citizenship, or if not citizenship, permanent residency is up for sale if you have enough capital. They're looking for money. And why are they looking for money? Might have something to do with tax breaks and landlords, but they're looking for money. So they're basically hocking out there the ability to live in New Zealand if you bring enough capital. And yes, this has been done before, but if you listen to some of the buzzwords she uses, it seems a little bit more, desperate might be the wrong word, but a little bit more, let's really make this work. We could have some funds coming in this way. Erica Stanford talking to Guy and Espiner about New Zealand citizenship up for sale for the rich. They're my words, not theirs.
We know that migrants and investors to this country have different tolerance for risk. And to be honest with you, many of them just want to make sure they secure their visa.
Okay, that's one of the lines that flicked my wig, right? They just want to secure their visa. She's talking about capital, she's talking about investment, and she's saying many of them just want to secure their visa. So what she's saying is many of them are just going to do whatever they need to do financially to secure their visa, aka that visa is for sale. Right, I've got plenty of this to play, but I heard that sentence and I went, that's far more telling than Guy and Espiner gave it credit for.
And to be honest with you, many of them just want to make sure they secure their visa. And they will say, look, actually, I'm quite happy to put my money in bonds, but what we do know is from research and anecdotal evidence, and it's not always been the best, which is why we've made sure we've built into this new policy data collection. What we do know, though, is while they are securing their visa, they're off investing in Kiwi startups and Kiwi businesses and higher risk. Their risk profile shifts over time, and what I don't want to do is close the door, which we have been doing, and say, look, I'm sorry. Actually, we're going to ignore the fact that even though you might come in and invest in bonds, that you actually do a number of other things.
OK, you've said in your press release that you want these people not just for their capital and skills, but to, quote, build a life for themselves and their family here.
So this is about Overseas Investment Office, right? This is about home ownership. At the moment, if you're not a New Zealand citizen, you need to get basically permission from a government office to buy a house, to buy property here. If you're bringing all these multi-million billionaires over here, they're going to want to buy a house. True. How is that going to work? And National feels pretty weak with these answers on protecting land for New Zealanders.
Doesn't that mean home ownership?
I actually believe that it does. And look, those conversations are ongoing. There are a couple of things. There's sort of the trifecta, if you think.
Hang on, let's just back up because that's significant.
Yes.
You do believe that home ownership is part of this deal, or should be?
Look, I think that the clear message we've had from these incredible people with amazing skill and resource is that, yeah, they want to be able to have a base here. They want to invite their friends here and show off their home and raise their children here. And
their yacht and their view
and their bunker
of Lake Wanaka
outside
and their bunker.
Yeah.
And their super yacht at Auckland Harbour.
Yes, that is a barrier, and that's why those conversations are being had at the moment.
So you want to rescind or relax the foreign buyers ban?
In this small part that I'm playing my part in.
Yes, I do.
Which is these migrant investors, because it's all very well to say, please come here and bring your tens of millions of dollars and invest in our companies and bring all your benefit to New Zealand, but you can't buy a house. You can't bring up your family here in a home that you own. You know, and
that's the coalition deal that you signed up to, though, isn't it?
Well, look, as I say, those...
Yeah, because Winston said no. So they're a bit stuffed with this.
Those conversations are being had, and I think people...
Have they been held at a cabinet level yet?
I can't say what happens at cabinet. You know that very well, but nice try.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you whether you'd brought it to cabinet.
There are conversations that are being had at different levels, and no decisions have been made yet. But
has that been taken to cabinet yet?
I can't tell you what has and hasn't been taken to cabinet. But what I can tell you is, my personal view is that if you're going to ask these people to come here and invest significant amounts of money in Kiwi businesses, they should have the ability to buy a house. That's my personal view. And look, as I say, conversations are being had. I've just spent a lot of time with investors recently, and it's not just also about houses. It's about the visa settings, and it's about some of the tax rules as well.
And we'll talk about some of that stuff. But just to be clear, I mean, you campaigned on a 15% foreign buyers tax on houses over $2 million, and it was going to get $740 million revenue sort of across the board. Are you looking at resurrecting that policy, or are you talking about specifically limiting it to these wealthy migrants under these categories?
In my lane that I'm working in this particular visa, I'm just looking at these people. When we say to them, please bring in 10, 15, or 10, 5, 10, 15, 50 million, depending on what they decide to invest outside of their initial investment, I think it's a reasonable proposition that we say to you, actually, you can buy a house here. That's my personal view. Those are conversations that are being had, but it's only in that very narrow lane at this point in time because that's the policy I'm working on.
And are you confident about getting that past Winston Peters?
No.
Oh, look, these are discussions that are being had well above my pay grade. And I've been involved in them as well, but look, I'm hopeful because if we want to make sure that we are encouraging these people to come to New Zealand with their skill and their capital, we have to have a good proposition. But and honestly, in saying that, it's not the biggest barrier. It's a barrier, but it's not the biggest barrier. Okay. And all these people are wanting to come and invest regardless of the house price.
Okay.
Well, that's good because if they wanted to come regardless, Chewie, they don't need to buy a house. That's just answer. That's simple, eh? So, yeah, this will be struggle to get past Winston Peters. It's fascinating. Though. It does really. I know this might seem obvious to all of you, but it does really feel like National is still scrambling for money, and now they're putting permanent residency on the table for enough capital. If you watch that whole interview, the number of times she says the word capital, 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 capital. But I guess she's there for that. But it does feel a little bit more than just investment is good. It's like we need investment. That's the vibe of it, Chewie.
This is how we devolve into a banana republic. We're basically selling citizenships. Like we did that for Peter Thiel. Yeah. And he's working very, very hard to absolutely crush the country that he's in some libertarian wet dream. And if it goes wrong, if it descends into a race war like he wants it to, he's got a little bolt hole here. I think it is an absolute fiction that these golden visas ever accomplish what people like Erica Stanford are going to say that they do. That certainly wasn't Australia's experience.
Yeah, we're about to go into that.
So, yeah, they tried it and shit canned it because it does not deliver what they want and what National is saying that it's going to. They love bringing up Australia, saying they do things better than us, and they've completely missed this one. I think...
Well, maybe...
If you're going to say bring money and invest it, and you're going to invest it in something that our country is set up to do, you are going to invest it in housing, and you're not going to solve that productivity issue that you have identified but will not solve.